Hey there, fellow readers, Mrs. Weidman here, and today we're going to be talking about the young adult realistic fiction novel Simon Sort of Says by Erin Bow. This book follows our protagonist, Simon, right? Who's both excited and a little bit nervous because his parents have actually just told him that they're going to be moving from their town outside of Omaha, where Simon has pretty much lived for his entire life, to a tiny little town in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska, called Grin N Bear It. And Simon is incredibly excited for this move because Grin N Bear It is a weird sort of town. Not only is it super tiny and pretty isolated, but it's actually a part of the National Quiet Zone, which means that people in this town aren't allowed to have microwaves or televisions or this thing that we know of as the internet, which is how you're watching this video, right? And that's because the scientists who mostly live in Grin N Bear It are actually trying to listen for signals of life from deep space, right? So their whole purpose is to monitor these satellite transmissions and listen to see if there might be life in our universe apart from us, right? The alien part is not what makes Simon so excited, and instead he's excited about the fact that there is no internet in this tiny little town. And that's kind of also why Simon is nervous, right? Because 2 years before this book takes place, Simon was actually a part of something super terrible. He was the only survivor of this really terrible school shooting that happened in his tiny town outside of Omaha. And because of this, if you Google Simon's name, right, he pops up instantly. There's all these news stories about him. There's a picture of him as one of the only survivors of this terrible, terrible tragedy. Right, so Simon is really trying to overcome this awful trauma of his past. He's really trying to move past the shooting and all of the lasting repercussions that it's like wreaking havoc in his life. And of course, his parents are trying to do so as well. So they figure moving to this tiny town where nobody knows who they are and nobody knows their name is the perfect place to kind of escape and rebuild and kind of figure out who they are and where they belong in this big, crazy world as a family, right? I will say, even though this book is about an incredibly difficult topic, it is about a school shooting and the trauma associated with those memories, right? For Simon, Erin Bow does this in such an amazing way that I loved the entirety of this story. And there was even times when I just was laughing out loud at the antics of Simon and his new friends Agate and Kevin. And of course, he has a new dog named Hercules. And so together, this story is just told in such a profound and meaningful and incredible way that I highly, highly recommend it for anybody who is interested in realistic fiction books or books about kids who are overcoming trauma and grief in their own lives. See y'all online soon.